addicts, welcome to another edition of the Bulletproof Podcast. Chris the Brain and Chad Cruz with you. And Chad, we have been celebrating 8 years of Bulletproof Action all month long, and this is the end of our month-long celebration.
Yeah, I know that we've been celebrating. I'm not certain that everyone else is celebrating. I feel like there's some mourning that we're still in existence, but an absolute celebration for us.
Yeah, as this one drops, we have officially hit the 8-year mark, which is, at times it feels like yesterday, at times it feels like 100 years ago that we did this, or started this whole thing. So thank you for everybody who has supported the site, and of course now the podcast as well. And somebody who has supported the site from the very early years is our very special guest for this episode. I'm talking about actor, wrestler, movie fanatic, the one and the only Paul London. Welcome to the show, Paul.
It is a true honor, gentlemen. Congratulations on the very strong, impactful 8 years. It's a real treat. Thank you guys for having me on.
Well, it's been a long time coming, but we're glad you're here. And we've picked a wonderful film to discuss with you. But before we get into that, of course, I want to tell everybody, we've just talked about it. For 8 years now, BulletproofAction.com has been giving you action content. The archive is very impressive, Chad Cruz, at this point.
It's thick. Yeah, it's thick with content.
Yeah, it is. You better believe it is.
It's girthy.
It's a girthy action movie site and one that will satisfy your needs. Can we say that?
Oh, yeah.
That's thick with 2 C's, right?
You better believe it.
Okay.
So we've got that going for us. And, bulletproofaction.com. And, of course, follow us on social media at BulletproofPod on Twitter and at BulletproofAction on Facebook and Instagram. And before let's just get right into it. I'll take a break when I damn well want to. Nobody tells me when to take a break because we're here, and PL, if I may call you PL.
Absolutely.
We're talking about Showdown. Yeah. The Billy Blanks classic that was released on September 17th, 1993, directed by Robert Radler, who did a series of great films, including the first 2 Best of the Best movies, which I know you're a big fan of, PL.
Oh, absolutely. I grew up on Best of the Best. I think I despised Walter just as much as anybody. So, anytime you had a chance to yell to your friend, "Pop it, Tommy, pop it!" Best of the Best. That's the ultimate karate movie as a kid. It's safe. I don't think there's really too many cuss words in there besides...
Did we lose you? I think he's cussed himself. He's cussed himself right out of the conversation.
He's been censored. Yeah, I think what he's trying to say is it's one of those movies that you kind of you're able to watch with or without a family because it's got great action in it, and it's also got some good family values and American values to it. And we have to thank for that. We have Robert Radler.
Yeah, and that's you could kind of put Showdown in that same category because this is certainly not too spicy, as they say. Nothing too gratuitous or it's high school kids, first of all, so it probably shouldn't be.
Right.
I mean, they're not really high school kids.
And
it's movie magic. Oh, PL, you're back.
Okay, I am back. A minute. I wasn't sure what happened. Yeah. I think it was, I was about to say the one cuss word in Showdown. Yeah. I think it's needle dick.
Oh, no.
Yeah, needle dick indeed. Yeah, we don't tolerate fucking swearing on this program, PL, and you'll get kicked the fuck off right as soon as you do it.
Please, no, God damn it, no, please.
No. So, yeah, needle dick is used. That's thrown around quite liberally here in this movie.
But it's a receipt.
It is. Yeah, you want to call me needle dick? Well, guess what, needle dick? You're getting it right back.
That's right.
When you look at Robert Radler's filmography, he did the 2 Best of the Best films, the first 2, and then he did Showdown, and then he did an episode of Sweet Valley High. So I'm not sure what happened. I don't really get what happened there.
He knew high school, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, was it Pleasant Valley High? Is that where they shot all this?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, right?
Correct,
Suburb of Phoenix.
And it was not an active school at the time that they shot it there.
No.
I do recall that. From my 10 things that you didn't know about Showdown, which again,
Right.
another cheap plug for bulletproofaction.com. Let's get into the movie. We start off, we see two cops. We've got Spinelli, played by Mike Genovese, who as almost always plays a cop. Although he's in Best of the Best too as one of the bad guys. He's one of the henchmen.
Yeah, you're right. He is.
And I just saw that one, so that was fresh on my mind. And then we have Billy Grant, played conveniently by Billy Blanks. And we find out that Billy doesn't like guns, and that's an odd trait for a cop to have, Chad Cruz.
Yeah, I don't know how much work he'd get these days as a law enforcement officer, not being a fan of guns. But for this time, for 1993, maybe it was a fitting way to do it. And if you could fight like Billy Grant can, maybe you don't need a gun all that often.
I mean, I think it's a great little character trait too, right off the bat. He's just as pure a babyface as possible.
Right.
Because most cops, they live for their guns, right? They're looking for any excuse to use them and point them at people, and So Billy's immediate babyface.
What if they had asked him? What if Spinelli had said, "Billy, you don't like guns. What do you like?" And he was like, "Punching Tupperware."
What?
That's what he does later.
Yeah.
We're just spoiling this whole movie in the first few minutes of this show. That's fine. So there's a disturbance call. There's a wild, raucous party going on. Have you ever had the cops called on any party you were at, Paul?
I'm pretty sure I have. Nothing specific in memory. I think at the time I might have been too fucked up to remember. But for the most part, I've stayed clear of police interaction.
That's good.
Yeah. Unlike a lot of wrestlers out there that you see in the news getting pulled over, doing breathalyzer tests and field sobriety tests. Anyways, yeah, I don't like cops. Try to stay away from them.
So guess who's at this party, though? It's Lee, the one and only Patrick Kilpatrick. I don't know what he's doing at this party with teenagers. I guess, and his little brother doesn't even seem like he's that young, Max.
Yeah, he's got a great head of hair, though.
Yeah, he does. And they're causing a ruckus. And there's underage drinking going on, so there's neighbors are complaining. There's property damage. People are backing over motorcycles, and there's a lot going on at this house.
There's Pringles.
I was going to say that one girl has a death grip on that Pringles can when we're about to see what happens. So Spinelli and Grant show up. Spinelli stays outside to clean up that mess. Billy goes inside, gets in this scuffle with Lee. Max is in between. He gets shoved, hits his head on the steps. He's dead, and there's a girl standing there with a death grip on a Pringles can.
Oh, and she's plus size, too. She looks like she just came from Torrid to get that party dress. And, yeah, the Pringles, for some reason, always stands out to me in this scene. Aside from also early on, I think Billy... he knows one of the party kids outside, right? He's like, "Hello, Officer Grant," or something.
Yeah. He's had a run-in with him. I don't know.
He's popular. I think he's one of those cops that the kids hoped to run into because they knew that they could talk their way out of it, or he'd be more sympathetic.
He's the one shooting hoops with him outside and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This interaction though inside the house, it escalates quickly.
It does.
Because he's like, "Hey, stop stop all this ruckus," and then Lee is shouting, "Shoot him!"
Yeah, right off the bat. It features some pretty cool fighting techniques for a party too. I mean, you're smashing a bottle on a guy's head.
I think we've lost PL again. Every time he starts talking violence or swear words, we lose him. All right, we'll move on. He'll be back. This whole thing happens. We got a dead kid. So Billy's shook up about this, as you would imagine he would be. So they're back at police headquarters. We see Spinelli in the shower, which was dangerously close to seeing way more Spinelli than anyone asked for.
That was strange, but it's pretty clear in the video I've watched that he's got underwear on. Did anybody else notice that?
I don't think I noticed that on the. Well, maybe you have the.
I zoomed in. You know what I'm saying?
You probably zoomed in, but you may also have had the. I don't know. I have maybe a different aspect ratio on the Blu-ray as opposed to the YouTube upload. Could be.
Are we talking about Spinelli's?
Spinelli, yeah.
His jocks, little Spinelli
deal.
Yeah.
I love that transition. I mean, you're basically going from dead kid to Spinelli's near nutsack. He's just got this girth, and the camera's just an inch below that, and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, that was like a Robert Radler sneeze away from getting a good shot at that thing.
Yeah.
All right, well.
I love this. Well, that scene also before, sorry. I love when he goes, "Where are you going to go, man?" That's so good.
Away from your naked ass is where he's going to go. So, yeah, Billy walks away. Police life ain't for him. And we really don't know what happens to Billy at that point. He's done. Is he done in the movie? Probably not.
You know, that reminds me of a time, sorry, before I forget, I went to an old XWF show in Lubbock. This was, 2001 or something. And I had been invited by Terry Funk up to the show, and I wasn't able to get on the show myself, but, I went backstage, and he was like, "Let me talk to you for a second." And he had just gotten out of the shower, and it was very Spinelli-esque because he didn't cover up or anything. He just kind of sat there, and I was like, just trying not to look at his
little funker.
Yeah, his weathered funker. And but I'm trying to be respectful at the same time. So that was my Spinelli moment.
See, I think the respectful thing is to comment on it. Hey, that's a good looking thing you got there.
That's a good point. If they're not going to cover up, maybe it's
they're looking for feedback.
Yeah. That man. I should have said something.
Just slip it in there. Hey, good dick, by the way. Anyways.
Yeah. Give him the old OJ. Are you going to trim that up? Make it presentable? That's something else.
And we're off the rails. And Ken Marks. We got to meet our main star, Ken Marks, played by Kenn Scott. That's 2 N's in Ken. It's his first day at his new high school. And what a time to switch schools halfway through his senior year. What a poor timing.
And to go from Kansas to Arizona.
Because that's where the work is, but apparently it isn't because his mom's having a heck of a time finding a job there. But she
didn't do the research, Brion. She just assumed there would be jobs there.
Yeah. Well, there was an internet like there is now where she could have checked out a multitude of sites to find where the work is. So,
well, that's his excuse, isn't it? That's his mom had to go where the work was, and apparently the plethora of graveyard shift waitresses for Waffle Houses in Phoenix.
A lot of truck driving coming to there, I guess.
Yeah,
it's tough too because Ken is halfway through his senior year, and he's got to be 32 or so,
right
at this point.
He's confused because he shows up on. I mean, that whole campus to me struck me as a community college. I've never seen a high school that spread out with different buildings. It was just. I mean, it was a massive.
Well, that auditorium that we get into later, that's like a professional theater. What's going on there?
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
But yeah, he gets dropped off in the dirty wood panel station wagon. Pretty sweet ride.
Yeah, very Griswold-esque station wagon. The mom with the poofy shoulders. Very stereotypical mom yelling at him, wanting a kiss. It reminds me of my mom, actually. She used to make me the lunch bags with the brown paper bags, and she would draw caricatures or something on them. But she had to ask for a kiss, and I'd headbutt her. Not a chance.
Did she give you a thermos, though, or were you to fend for yourself, or was there a Capri Sun in that?
Yeah, Capri Sun or Ecto Cooler.
Ooh.
You know, it was just kind of rotated.
Kenn doesn't get the warmest of welcome. People are making fun of his jacket. And there's other kids there. But you just out in the open have a gun. Another one with a kill yourself sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a rough crowd.
A very mixed crowd too, right? I think.
Oh, damn it.
More gems have been lost. But yes, we've lost PL again. But he'll be back again, as we said. He's the intrepid traveler. He goes in and out of dimensions, I think.
I think so.
We've got the kids, and then he meets the one and only Brion James, who played vice principal, not president, as I have in the. Although I would like to have Brion James as the vice president.
Yeah,
couldn't be any worse.
I mean, he's dead right now, so.
Well, I'm saying in his day.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Vice Principal Kowalski happens upon Kenn, and to his credit, I mean, he must have a photographic memory of every student in that school, because he's like, "Oh, you're the new kid."
Yeah.
Just out of this massive crowd of human beings. He's like, I have never seen you before. I heard we had a new kid coming. Putting two together, you're it. And he was correct.
I think that's the vice principal's job, is to know everybody, know who the troublemakers are, and to punish them as he sees fit.
He's all over. And from what I understand, his role was supposed to be much smaller, but he did such a great job, they just kept giving him scenes, which I won't complain about more Brion James in a movie, ever.
I mean, that means they probably shot all his scenes in 1 day, 2 days. He has one of the best lines as well, when he's like, "Hey, meathead, did your parents have any kids that lived?" Sheesh.
He reminds me, we have this, near where I work, we have this school. It's in inner city. We go in there for fire alarms a lot, and the principal there, we have a running joke about this guy because he just screams at his students all day long, and it's always the same thing: pull your pants up, take your hood off. Pull your pants up, take your hood off, and he just does it all day long. And basically, he's Brion James in real life.
Oh, that's great! I would love for him to be my vice president or principal.
Agreed. So now Kenn gets into the school, and things are getting even worse because he thinks he hears gunshots. So he hits the deck, makes a total fool of himself in front of everybody. But then, PL, he looks up.
That's right.
He sees her. A vision of beauty.
He's like, "Weren't you in Hey Dude?" I believe also filmed in Arizona. Yeah, Julie, the siren, Julie, who really is more trouble than she's worth.
Yes. We got a roller coaster of love in this movie.
Yeah.
And it here's where it starts. Now we got to meet Tom, the mysterious Kenn McLeod, and I know, PL, you have actually considered hiring a private investigator to find out whatever happened to this man.
I mean, it just should have really broken out and been a much bigger, more recognizable star on the level of Adon the Dragon Wilson or Lorenzo Lamas, but in my opinion had a lot more charisma. And I think Showdown in particular is where he really got to show his range in terms of personality. I mean, this is a guy that went from playing a college freshman 3 or 4 years prior to this.
Yep.
Actually, and now he's a high school senior at 35. But he showed a lot of just his personality. I think he's obviously a much better heel as a babyface.
Yeah. He's easily the standout in the film. I mean, even Billy Blanks can't act for shit. But
right.
He could tie-bow the hell out of your ass, though. I got news for you.
He probably could, most definitely. But when it comes to acting, my God, he's never been good.
Yeah, there's probably a reason he was named Billy in this movie.
And I mean, Kenn McLeod is a Chuck. I guess he got his black belt from Chuck Norris. He came from Minnesota and tested and got his black belt through Chuck Norris. I want to say like in Utah or something really weird like that.
Hey, PL, I don't know if you know this, but my son is a purple belt in the Chuck Norris system.
Really?
He is indeed.
Oh, that's amazing. No, good for him.
Not me. I don't have anything, but he has a purple belt.
No, I knew you were talking about your son. I wasn't thinking, hey, Chad's a purple belt. Where'd this come from?
I'm back.
I know you're like a third Dan.
Oh yeah.
So
at least.
So yeah, we meet Tom, and he's got his crew. The most notable, Rob and Gina, who are always at his side. They're bullying the hall monitor, which is classic thing a bully would do. And now we find out, though, PL, that Tom is dating Julie. Who could have seen that coming?
I mean, a Ken and Barbie, if there ever was. You know what I mean? It's the big jock on campus, even though he didn't play any high school sports. Because he was just doing his own thing on the side at Lee's dojo. But going back a little bit, I always hated the Gina character. I couldn't stand this girl. Nothing she did was any good to me. Like, I didn't like her face. I didn't like her voice. I didn't like her attempt at being a whore in the library.
Oh, yeah.
Or grabbing Ken's butt when he shows up in class. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing. We see Ken or we see Tom in class. I guess Julie's saying, "Where were you last night?" He forgot. He was at the gym. He was training or something. And he's like, "What's the problem?" And I believe this is very early on when we first see him. And she's like, "If you don't know that," because whoa, don't walk away from me. I own you. And you just know this is domestic violence waiting to happen.
Oh boy, yeah, she is. Yeah, Julie makes it known she's certainly not a fan of Sensei Lee. Apparently, ever since Sensei Lee entered Tom's life, he's become a different man.
Hey, Lee's my sensei. Don't talk about him that way.
At least that's mentioned a couple of times because for the most of the film, you're like, why in the world would this girl even be with this guy? He seems like such a turd.
Yeah,
But she does, say that later. He used to be different. He's not like this. This is a kind of a new thing. So I guess it's a little bit more acceptable.
It'd be really interesting to see, the prequel where you would he didn't always used to be this way. I mean, I guess you get a very small glimpse of it at the very end.
So you want like a reverse Cobra Kai. You want you want something that happened before
he
all
wants
this.
Showdown to the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, show up. I want to see what Tom was like before he was manipulated by Lee. I mean, I don't think Lee was running his own underground fight ring when he was still harassing high school parties with Pringle girls in his leather jacket and kissing guys on the forehead and smashing bottles over their heads. So I think Lee's brother, was it Max? I think Max's death sent Lee even further off the deep end,
I would say so.
But he became an entrepreneur because, he started all these things. So maybe his time, I'm assuming he went to prison, right? After that whole incident.
Yeah, he probably went to the library all the time and was learning how to start your own business and made the most of his rehabilitation.
7 years. Is the difference, right? From Max's death to where we meet up with our current story.
Okay, I did not know that.
It's 7 years. I think it says 7 years.
PL's a detail man. If he's not, how
about that?
That's all I've got.
We've got we go into the classroom. The teacher there, she's got potatoes on the blackboard. Apparently, this is something that happens a lot. So she just kind of blows it off, and I think there was a story about. I think this actually happened at Robert Radler's high school. Something with potatoes on the blackboard. So
I like that it's a mystery. I don't want to know.
Yeah, he used it in there. We find out some gruesome information that the day before, the freshman was stabbed. So this school is rough, Chad Cruz. This is not just a suburban perfect high school.
Yeah,
people are getting stabbed. We already saw the kids with the gun, but now we see it's more than just showing off.
Early 90s high schools were a dangerous place to be because, only the strong. You got all these movies, constant gang fighting and people getting shanked and, gym teachers, roundhouse kicking people in the face. I mean, there's a lot lot of things going on at these schools that we didn't see in our schools or know about. But luckily, we have this bit of history.
The kid with the gun alone, that's
that's
massive precursor to the sad case of high schools and gun violence now.
If Brion James were still alive, he would.
Yeah, this wouldn't be happening.
Nope.
I agree. Yeah. So this is where we get introduced to our class clown, Mike, played by John Asher, who I always will remember from the Weird Science TV show. And when he cracks the joke about the stabbing, that I guess he got the point. Get it? Get it, you guys?
It demonstrates how you can be such a nerd to the point that even the bully will kind of brush you off. Like, this guy's such a nerd, I'm not even going to beat him up for that. Even though he gets a little taste of it later with his clever glasses with the eyes on them.
Yes. They're hilarious, aren't they?
Oh, they're so good. But, I think he's the perfect kind of comedic sidekick relief in this situation where Kenn shows up, he's fish out of water, doesn't know anybody, and who better than the class clown goofball to kind of help warm him up to the situation. He lays out the law for him too,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he tells him, you don't want to be talking to Julie. Stick with me and my hilarious novelty glasses, and you'll be fine. This is where we talked about it earlier. The reason Kenn moved was because his mom lost her job. And then we get to see Kenn try to open his locker. And what a frickin' garbage pail kid's locker that thing was, Peter.
Oh, yeah. That sock. And there's like corn on the sock or something. And it looks like the sock belonged to somebody who had their foot cut off.
I had a sock like that in my dresser when I was a kid.
No way.
I was probably 14
still there?
So I hope not. I think I burned it at one point. Disposed of the evidence.
Probably what caused the hole in the ozone.
I thought it was a pretty good. I wonder how many times they shot this. I imagine less than 5 times, but maybe this is the only time. This is the only take. But I liked how when he slams the locker, it kind of makes the sock stick up a bit, like it's jammed in there. I thought they couldn't have planned that.
Sometimes things just happen.
I think you get some things with Kenn Scott where he plays a great kind of outsider or a kid who's out of his element. He does it really well because I think as an actor he is actually out of his element. And
well, he's not in a turtle costume. So
it's true. It comes across well, I think, on screen.
So Mike takes him to the library, which a lot of action happens in this library. People are always in the library. Shows him around. We see the teacher, who's also a struggling actor. We see Stinky, who that may have been his locker, maybe the year before, and he just...
That makes perfect sense. Wow.
We got some skinheads, and then we got the football heroes. So you got a lot of the prototypical characters you'd have in high school, although none of these people are really fleshed out. Because we're focused on Tom, Mike, Julie, and Kenn.
It's interesting, too, that they put Julie at a table with supposed friends of hers, even though they don't say anything. They don't
right.
make any kind of verbiage towards her. Like, Kenn shows up, and you would think they would be well aware of Julie's, her situation. And but, yeah, I thought that was a weird placement for these extras that they just picked out and were like, you're going to be Julie's friends here.
Yeah, but you have no line. There's a lot. What I always notice in the movie Back to School, there's so many people in that movie that just stand there and say nothing.
Try not to look at the camera.
You're just here. You have no lines. Just let Rodney do his material and sit there. We're not going to get into it. So Mike, once again, it's like, hey, because Kenn sees Julie, and he's like, he starts making his way over there. Mike's saying, don't do it, but there goes Kenn. He can't help himself, and he introduces himself officially to her, but who is right around the corner? It's Tom.
Yeah, and he's walking in with his arms around Gina. Like, that's one of the things, too, where you're just like, Tom doesn't give a shit. He's such a hypocrite. He hangs out with this
Hoochie Mama.
Yeah, like she's like a more like a chola, and the Italian wop guy with the rat tail, who I also didn't really like at all. Who I think his deal was that he had auditioned for Kenn and Tom and got neither of them, and so they threw him this part. And apparently he was not the friendliest guy to Kenn or something. To Kenn, yeah, who knows? But yeah, I guess he had auditioned for both the leads and got neither, so he got this kind of lackey role for Tom. But I didn't like him either. He nothing about him. Just hated him actually.
Well, at least he's supposed to be hated, so I guess that works for him. Julie begs Tom to leave Kenn alone. He's just being nice, blah, blah, blah. So Tom lets Kenn off with a warning, or so it seems, until after school, Chad. Then Kenn really runs into some trouble.
Yeah, it's not good for Kenn. I mean, you had to expect it because you know that Tom's not going to just let that fly. And then he finally catches him after school, punches him in the mouth, reiterates his warning, get the hell away from my girl, and then gives him a little low blow shot and leaves him crying on the ground.
Trying to pick a fight with me? He's got the best lines.
And then that's where he's back. Billy Grant, we now find out, has been a high school janitor. I don't know if it was the entire time, but he certainly is right now. And he helps pick Tom up, or Kenn up, I'm sorry, and take him back to his janitor's lair that has Bruce Lee posters and other various items that we've kind of already mentioned. Well, we'll get into that more, but finds out that Kenn is from Kansas, and he hits the line, PL. He had to hit the line. Somebody had to hit the line.
Right, not in Kansas more.
They gave it to Billy, and he delivered it with as much passion as humanly possible for Billy Blanks.
I mean, they set it up to where you couldn't miss it because Billy laughs to himself, and Ken's like, "What? Like almost what's so funny?" And he goes, "Not in Kansas anymore." Oh man, that's so bad. We see Billy's legs earlier on. I think when the hall monitor thing is going on. Because we just see him sweeping off, like kind of past frame, right?
There's the detail, man.
There it is.
Yeah. Well, so I had liked that detail because it's kind of like we're gonna show you a little glimpse what's to come.
I wasn't paying attention apparently. So let's go to Lee's dojo.
Wait, hold on. What's that hat that Billy is wearing? It's like he just got out of like the hip hop recording studio with Jodeci. I didn't get that at all.
Maybe he did.
I mean, janitors wear ball caps, don't they? This was
you can't wear a ball cap with that flat top he's got. I think that flat top would hinder the ball, or the hat would mess up the flat top. I think you got to have a higher, more vertical hat.
Yeah, but this is like. Not even. It's not. What's the name for this hat? It's not a fedora, but it was just way too stylish. Like maybe he was working with the inner city kids on like a WrestleMania type rap. It's kind of what struck me as he's got the oversized sweater and the weight gloves.
Oh, he had great tennis shoes too. I don't remember what they were, but they were nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well paid janitor. They might have been. Ruse. Was that the ones where you'd put the
shoes
coin?
For your feet and pockets for your stuff.
Yeah, the coins in the pocket. Get a soda.
So let's go to Lee's dojo, brought to you by Otomix. And this is where we hear that mantra, Chad Cruz.
Yes.
Over and over again.
Success is control. Control is success.
You!
Success is control. Control is success.
You!
Just 40 minutes of that.
It's so good. It's so good.
And then Lee is like, if you want to take on my star pupil, Tom, you got to prove yourself to me.
Oh, boy.
And that does not work out well for the poor sap who attempts to do that.
Well, we see him coming in just kind of off frame. He runs in late and gets into the group, hoping that Lee didn't see him as he's giving his big you pep talk and all that. So, as you know, we are holding trials for Tom tonight. I will be testing them myself.
Wow, that's a
God.
good Patrick Kilpatrick. You
Damn.
actually worked with Mr. Kilpatrick, if I'm not mistaken.
I did.
And
I did.
I think he liked the way you filled out your pants, if I recall correctly, as
Ooh,
well.
there's a story.
We've lost PL.
Oh, damn it. Maybe he's
We've lost
faking it.
PL. Well, you know what? I think this is a good time to take a break, and we'll be back, and we'll find out about PL and Patrick Kilpatrick and liking his pants. All right, we are back on the Bulletproof Podcast, and the little teaser we had before that break was, of course, that Paul London, you worked on a little project with Mr. Patrick Kilpatrick where he was basically sexually harassing you.
That's right. Yeah, that was, there wasn't really much it was a scene, but they really just kind of wanted us to improvise. He was my boss, and when I met him, it was so hard for me to not want to just mark out and start asking him all these questions about Showdown. So we're talking about the scene, and he goes, I think if it's okay with you, I'm going to bring this approach that I'm sexually hitting on you. I'm harassing you sexually. I was like, yeah, that works. Okay, like, bring it, So we kind of improvised the scene for the most part, and it was a lot of fun. He's intense as you would expect, and afterwards I was able to ask my share of Showdown questions, which he was touched. He was like, that's what a lot of people bring up, Showdown. There's a place for everybody. So they seem to love Showdown. And he goes, we shot all the fight scenes for that in one day. I was like, wow. So the whole movie took a week to shoot, I think. Just the whole movie was a week. But now apparently, yeah, they shot all the fight scenes in one day. And I think part of that was because his rate was so high. Anyways.
He was hitting on you because control is success.
And I wanted to kind of weave that in. It just didn't. It would have been too forced, And
yeah, and he was already doing a lot of forcing.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. He was a really fun guy to work with. I had actually the producers of that project. It'll probably never see the light of day, unfortunately. But they gave me the choice. They were like, we could get Richard Tyson or Patrick Kilpatrick. Who would you rather? And I was like, oh my God, I would love both of them, but Patrick Kilpatrick, he's Lee.
And the Sandman. Let's not forget the Sandman.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course, but I've seen Showdown 10 times as many, as I've seen Death Warrant.
And that is exactly why you are on this episode of the Bulletproof Podcast. So we now meet Lee's business partner, Kate. And she's there. She's telling Tom, hey, no more fights at school. This is where we start getting an inkling that there's more to this than just being a dojo. This is a business they're running here because he has a real fight tonight. What does that mean, Chad? Well, we find out the next day at school when old Tom comes walking in with a wad of cash.
Well, hold on. Can we back up to the trials?
You can.
He completely decimates this nerd who looked like Craig Elo, and that's a shout out to your Cavaliers.
Thank you.
And yeah, I think the kid tries to do a spinning something, and he just punches him in the back. Bah! I mean, it's so intense. And then one of my absolute favorite moments, he leans in after he just destroys this kid, kicks him in the face when he's down. But he leans into the class. He's like, I won. Who won? Sensei. Who won? Sensei. Who won? He's just a madman. I'd be thinking, man, he already took my deposit.
I'm not coming back.
I don't think I could drop. Yeah, he's going to find out where I live.
Oh, that's true. He would. He would be the type. Maybe that's what he was doing at the party. One of those. Maybe he had a school way back then.
See,
they didn't show up, so he tracked them down at that party and started causing trouble.
That's why we need Showdown the early years. Show up, show in.
I think that's why his business partner Kate played such a crucial role, because she used her seductive abilities to get people in the door, to get asses in the seats. So without her, he's just a lunatic.
Yeah, and she wasn't even attractive. I mean, she was kind of like the leasing agent to a trailer park.
Right.
They just, let's make her blonde, and she got red lips and drives a convertible. That's hot in the early 90s. Let's do it.
Yeah, she looked like she could have been on an episode of Silk Stockings for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, totally.
In my world, there's ones and zeros, and she was definitely a one.
Ones and zeros.
As I was saying, Tom won his real fight. We find out they're running teenage underground fight club. So this is something that you don't see too often in these movies.
I mean, underground fight clubs happen all the time, but rarely are they teenagers.
With teenagers, right?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a wrinkle. Yeah, and usually it's a bunch of rich people throwing money at people, bleeding everywhere. But
yeah,
this is just random dudes in the crowd. It's like
Yeah, and it's just like who are these people, and why hasn't anybody squealed to the cops? Like, hey, they're like, especially if they keep losing money, you'd think somebody be pissed off to the point where like, hey, cops. They're making kids fight each other over here at this place, and they have like official EMTs. Apparently, they're on the take. Is that what you do, Chad Cruz, for extra money?
There are some special duties that come with the job, and I love the ability. I love the one EMT guy. He picks him up, and he's like, "You lost me $20, you little bastard." That's how I would have been.
Tom's all excited. He won his fight, but his mood changes because once again we get frickin' Ken talking to Julie.
Oh, my God.
This is just like this cycle. And, the first time I saw this movie, I didn't mind this, but I'll tell you what, on this rewatch, this whole back and forth thing was really starting to get on my nerves.
He's such a dumbass. And to be honest with you, Tom is not a good dude, but Ken really does deserve an ass whooping for the ages. And he gets it a couple of times throughout the film, but he just keeps coming back. He just... Yeah. I mean, Julie, Christine Taylor, is that her name? Christine Taylor. Yes. She's a lovely, lovely girl, and married to Ben Stiller. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Why would you continue to bark up the wrong tree and get your face smashed in? I mean, at some point, I think that he just realizes that Billy is there for him and has his back, so he's like, whatever, I'm just going to do it.
Right. He has an insurance policy.
Yeah.
PL, have we lost you? All right, well, we'll keep moving.
I hope the first thing we hear from him is, "You!"
It's very possible. It's very possible. We're going to keep going. So
I won.
Here he goes. Here he is.
Beautiful.
The first time I saw Christine Taylor, she was Melody in Hey Dude. And I don't think she clearly wasn't as successful at this. I mean, she was working, right? She had done like Campfire Tales or something around this time, and some other stuff. I don't think she had met Ben Stiller at this point. I don't know where they met, but it was after this, I'm sure. So, interesting choice for the lead actress, because she wasn't, she's not like smoking hot. She's just kind of, I guess, the more the girl next door, they're trying to make her kind of the Elizabeth Shue.
Right. She's a one.
Okay.
She's adorable, though. I mean, she really is. She looks great now still.
Yeah. Probably better now.
Like a fine wine.
Well, she played a similar character in Hey Dude.
This is the most Hey Dude references we've ever had on this podcast. And probably the most we'll ever have.
It was a good show. I liked it. I mean, I think
apparently
it went for 3 seasons on Nickelodeon, and it was, good stuff. Maybe 4 seasons. But she was kind of the materialistic, vain, pretty girl on the Dude Ranch.
Well, as Chad would tell you, I was already like 43 when this Hey Dude was airing, so I was probably watching Silk Stockings instead of
right
Nickelodeon kid shows.
She would have been good for Silk Stockings too.
Oh boy, wouldn't she have?
Oh yeah, the young girl of the rich parents, playing tennis. I could see it. All right, so where were we?
So we already tore the money, put the money in his face. It's not about money; it's about respect. We're past that. This is
he goes back to talk to Julie again
in the library.
In the library.
Of all places,
with the candlestick in Colonel Mustard. No, not that.
We have to. PL, please. Someone's got to mention this librarian.
Oh, yeah. He used to be Bozo the Clown or something. Like they mentioned that. He's got the bug eyes. And
he's so easily distracted as well.
Yeah, with Gina's Chola horisms. It's just like, get out of here. This guy, even he's too good for her. Yeah, he jumps up on the tables and gets out of Dodge, and then we see Mike peeking up over the bookshelves, and off we go.
Yeah, we're chasing Kenn through the school. The chase ends at the gym. Kenn has nowhere to run, but he does have a guardian angel of sorts, Chad Cruz, because Billy is there.
Yeah, Billy's he enters the scene. Get your shoes off my floor, which is great.
Why don't you buzz off?
Nothing pisses a janitor off more than if you fuck up his floor.
Oh man, I bet one of them had boots on or something, and
Ken. Or Tom, I mean, keep saying Ken. It's bizarre for me.
You know what? Ken probably had boots on too because he's pretty short. I bet he was trying to get a little lift out of him.
Yeah.
But
have you ever not been able to get through those doors from the inside? I didn't understand that part where he's pushing the metal doors from the inside, but they're locked. I thought that little metal handlebar gimmick should open it up automatically.
Yeah, I think that's a fire hazard.
It's a massive fire hazard. Yeah, you can't have one exit in a gym like that. Give me a break. I would write them up in 2 seconds flat.
I agree, especially if Billy's there.
Billy's there. Billy realizes, Billy kicks some ass. Now we get to see Billy, but he almost goes too far.
Why don't you go clean a toilet?
He loses control. And Kenn kind of stops him. Billy takes off. Now the kids all pour into the gym, and they see Tom and Rob down and out, and they assume Kenn was the one who kicked their ass. So now the school is abuzz.
Oh, man. He should have just kicked them while they were down and taken credit.
He didn't even, and Billy used some restraint somewhat in this, even though he chokes Tom out. He's not striking them. He's just evasive, and, Tom throws the big kick, and that hits the WAP
ponytail.
Saturday Night Fever rat tail guy. Yeah, he's like Travolta to me. He is like a Travolta-esque quality, but Billy's not striking these 35-year-old high school guys. He's just evasive until he chokes them. I do like the collision between Tom and Travolta, where they kind of go back to back, and they're like,
Could you imagine if instead of Billy Blanks we had Steven Seagal and he was just breaking everybody's limbs?
Yeah, sexually harassing Christine Taylor off screen.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been insane.
One of our finest Russian actors. All right, so yeah, now Kate wants to know what the hell is going on with Tom, because he's all banged up. How'd this happen? Because she told him specifically, no more fighting at school. You're too valuable for our whole fight club gimmick we got going on here. Finds out it was the janitor. Now Lee wants to talk to Tom, and he's talking to him about weakness, and gets a little physical with him. PL. Have we lost PL? All right, well, he gets a little physical with him, beats him up some smacks him around.
Some bitch slapping goes on.
Just kind of put him in his place, and then Lee has Kate go investigate this janitor situation.
Which is a bizarre thing to think you would put in your action film.
Yeah, I need you to investigate the janitor situation. Not something you'd expect to hear in any movie, let alone this one. But that's what we get. So now we get back to Julie and Kenn.
Lord.
Kenn is okay. Yeah, no, we can't be friends. Okay, maybe he's finally got the point here.
Yeah,
it would seem.
I don't think so because okay, let's just pretend like he's thinking that would be the right thing.
The pain you feel on the outside is nothing compared to the pain you should feel on the inside. That's a Leeism.
Do you have those written down somewhere? Because I feel like
no,
you should.
I have all these memorized. You will find who this man is now. Threatens to punch her.
Oh yeah,
or no, that's later after she's taken the photos. That's right. Okay,
this is what PL chooses to use his memory for.
Yeah,
Showdown quotes.
That's right. Tom fell off his bike.
Today's prank though. We're back at school. The whole desk is missing now. I mean, what will these kids do next? One can only guess.
And wasn't that the skinheads carrying it?
I think so.
I mean, that's the lamest prank they could ever do. I mean, I would expect something way worse from them.
Well, I'm going to say something way worse than stealing a desk, and that's crushing a person's novelty glasses. And that's what Tom is doing on the outside. Starts roughing up Mike a bit. And once again, we get the little tease of Kenn and Tom.
Hold on.
This is where we get the first needle dick.
Hold on. We got to back up a little bit because one of the finest, greatest moments, not just in this film, but in any film, occurs right after everyone thinks that Tom got his ass kicked by Kenn. And that's when that... what was it, John Carradine, who was in Revenge of the Nerds? But this kid looks like him, but he shows up and he's like, "Nice fight, Tom." He just gets punched right in the face.
It was like a 1-inch punch too. He was like right there.
It's such a it's a jab. Yeah, it really is like a 1-inch punch. It just destroys him. I rewound that so many times. I still do.
What's funny is we keep talking about all these scenes, and Tom is clearly the best character in this movie.
Oh, by far.
And even when he's talking to Sensei Lee, like the fear in his face. I mean, you can like feel it. It's so good.
I think this is his best work, without a doubt. And I think College Kickboxers is outstanding for maybe not the best reasons, but I think it's great. I haven't seen all of Ken McLeod's filmography. Brion, you introduced me to the one with him and Gary Daniels.
Yeah.
And then I think he did one with Don the Dragon Wilson. He really doesn't have that much of a filmography.
He was in a Cynthia Rothrock one as well.
Yeah. And he was Rich Kid number 2 or something in Double Dragon.
There you go.
With John Asher as well.
You know, seeing what we see from Robert Radler, you know, reusing a lot of the same people. You know, he used Patrick Kilpatrick in Best of the Best 2, and then again in Showdown. Right. And he uses a lot of these same guys. You would have thought that Kenn McLeod would have been in, you know,
he would
all
been
these
in the Radler bunch.
The Radler bunch, yeah. Put him in L.A. Heat, put him in Soldier of Fortune, put him in all the, you know, Hercules and shit, Substitute 3, whatever he did.
I don't know that Robert Radler was all there mentally, because I mean, in hearing or in seeing the behind the scenes or making of this or something, there was some feature I saw. He claims Kenn McLeod wasn't one of the actors that knew martial arts, and I thought he's clearly the second best martial artist on this whole thing behind Billy Blanks, you know, without a doubt. But he's like, oh, you know, Kenn picked it up quickly. It's like, are you kidding me? So, yeah. I don't think Robert Radler's the most... what in the world? Yeah. It sounded like you were closing the locker.
No, you know who that is?
That Remo?
The devil.
You got it. It's
Devil.
Remo.
Oh, little bastard making a cameo.
I locked him out of the room because this would not be getting done right now, and he's knocking on the door to get in here. As I was saying, we get the first needle dick, and then we get Tom getting his mojo back because he beats Kenn's ass.
Great palm tree bump by John Asher, too, by the way, before I forget. Because he puts the glasses on, then crushes them, puts them on again, and then gets the head thrown and takes a big bump into the palm tree.
The double pair of glasses is maybe my favorite scene in the whole film, where he puts the second pair on.
It's really good.
It's great.
He's a resourceful young man, if nothing else. All right, so now Billy's realizing, I got to teach this Kenn how to protect himself. I can't get involved. I can't be beating the shit out of these kids, but I can teach Kenn how to beat the shit out of these kids. And we get our first janitorial work montage, and this is where, some people would probably say this is nothing more than a cheap Karate Kid ripoff. But this scene here, PL, the movie proves it's well aware of that, and it embraces it.
Yeah, and I think...
And we lost him. What's funny with this montage is I felt like it was... we talked about Revenge of the Nerds. You could have had that same song, you've got to put one foot in front of the other. And you could have had the same montage play with that song in the background. It would have worked pretty well, I think. Probably
would have been, a better song. The music in this film isn't all that.
It's forgettable, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely cut some corners there.
I don't know if I'm back yet.
Oh, okay, you're back. You're back.
Sorry. Oh, I won. I keep losing with this stupid headphones. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I was just going to say the song at this, I don't know if it's right here, but this, I don't know if it's Fate's Warning but the training song, the montage song, the main montage song when he starts throwing the basketball at him and stuff. That's a great song. I can't remember the name of it.
This janitorial work montage song, I don't think was anything to write home about.
Yeah, I mean the main theme is good. It's like na 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 na.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Even a kick-ass song in a janitorial work montage. I mean, it's hard to do that. It's hard to make that work.
Yeah, that's true too. Julie is not happy with what Tom did to Kenn, and now she's playing maybe you'll have to choose between me and Sensei Lee. Okay, just enough of this. Okay, now Kate is there, and she slips by old Vice Principal Kowalski by saying she's there to interview for the sex ed teacher position, and again, they're trying to sell this woman as being sexy, PL.
That's right. Oh, right this way. I hope we can work together. Then when she walks off, he kind of looks at her and he goes, yeah.
And you know what? Maybe that's it. Like, that's who, like, Brion James would think was sexy. And, like, I could see my dad being really into this woman. Like, oh, yeah, she's hot. Because, yeah, like you said, she drives a convertible, she's blonde, and she has lipstick, so...
Right. And poofy hair and shoulder pads.
Well, that was the style at the time. wearing an onion on your belt was some decades before. So Billy is training Kenn, and Kate gets the pictures. And this is what you had mentioned earlier, PL. She shows them to Lee, and he goes all Lee on her.
Yeah, he backs up from the desk. She's like, you could have hurt me. You will find out more of this man. Now! Lifts his fists up like he's going to smash her head like a pumpkin. And, he loses it because he has this flashback. He knows this man. He knows he's more than a janitor. Remo knows that he's more than a janitor. And it wasn't Fate's Warning. It was Azro. That's who did Draw the Line, the best song in the soundtrack. Sorry. Did I lose you guys?
I think we lost brains. What we lost.
Oh, we might have. Yeah.
I'm here.
It got real quiet.
I put it on mute because the dog was going off.
I think he just tried to physically assault his pet.
I did not. Oh. I did not. I just told him to shut up, and you could see how well that worked. You get if you can dodge a ball, you could dodge a fist bit.
Yeah.
And this is where we get into the official training montage.
That's it. Draw the Line. That's the name of the song by Azro. A.Z.R.O.
Holy shit! I wonder what that's an acronym for. Is that?
I don't know. I have no idea because they have another song on here, Part of Me. And then there's another acronym band on the soundtrack, DFM.
I think it's H to the Izzo, E to the Ezro. I don't know.
It's actually only DFM or Azro. Those are the two acronym bands on this whole soundtrack.
There are just so many great action movies that have just memorable songs and songs that you put in your playlist and you work out to them and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And when this song came on, I couldn't remember this one. I don't know what it was about this movie. Maybe the montage itself kind of, I don't know. It's just too overwhelming with how good it is.
You couldn't remember the song, or you could?
I didn't remember the song at
all. I suggest you go back and check out "Draw the Line" by Azro, acronymed.
If you hear me muting, it's not because I'm looking up photos of
no, that's
Christine
fine.
Taylor and
Kate.
Linda Donna. Yes,
is that who that is?
Linda Donna. Classic beauty.
Yeah.
Never trust a person with two first names. All right. So we've got after the training montage. After we just had Ken say, "Okay, we can't be friends." Now here he is back to trying to be friends with Julie, and this is where I was just like, "I'm done with this. Either shit or get off the pot." Basically, at this point,
Ken is very, very horny.
Yeah, I like his style of clothing as well. I can't tell if it's cross colors or what he's wearing exactly, but I noticed they purposely kept him in long sleeves and baggy clothes throughout the first 3/4 of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they put jackets on him and the really long shirt, like a
in Arizona.
In Arizona, and then they finally do the reveal where he pops the shirt off and he's all shredded, but they don't really linger on it, which is a little bit of a surprise. They should have lingered longer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's clearly jacked throughout the whole time. But, Tom is dressed like a bad art dealer.
Like Zach Morris.
Kind of, yeah. Like if Zach had grown up to be a drug dealer or part of a cartel. I mean, we'll get to Tom's vest at the cinema in a little bit, I'm sure. But
that's classic.
That's my favorite.
It is a beautiful piece of clothing, to say the least. But this is where Julie starts making the excuses for Tom. But then we get, after another training session, Ken finds Billy's badge. So now he's like, so he wasn't always a janitor.
There are so many worse things he could have found in his office,
Yeah, and one thing I also thought was really bizarre was for Billy to be training him, and I don't know. I've never encountered any trainers who, when you're done with a good workout or after a good martial arts sparring session or something, they're like, "Hey, go get a couple sodas out of the cooler." I thought, sodas? Let's
get dehydrated.
That's just such a weird choice for a post-workout beverage. But that's what leads him to the locker, and he notices the badge, the shield, as they say, right there. Because why wouldn't Billy keep the shield right in his janitor locker?
And I think it said policeman police on it.
Yeah.
Which was a bit odd. I don't think they say that. I don't know.
I think it's great. They might have in Phoenix. It might have been a Phoenix thing at the costume shop. Just so that you could definitely see what it is on screen, because the image of a police badge isn't enough. So they want to hit that home.
So I think we've gone like 5 minutes without a Tom and Ken confrontation, so we needed one.
Yeah, we're due.
And they meet by the bleachers.
I just imagine when you mute yourself to take care of Remo, I imagine that you go all Lee on him. You will be quiet now. Now!
He holds up a newspaper.
Yeah.
What's a newspaper?
Oh shit! You're old enough to remember those. Come on, man.
It's the pulps.
So we get this confrontation at the bleachers. Kenn gets in a shot, and here comes Kate in her convertible and picks him up.
Kicks him in the balls too. I was like, did Billy teach him that?
Yeah. Well, that's
he learned that on the streets.
That's self-defense 101.
The streets of Kansas, baby.
Mean streets of Kansas. You better believe it. So Kate picks him up and has a proposition for him and takes him to see the fights at Lee's dojo.
That's right. And I don't think the fighters that they witnessed were high school age at all. I mean, they looked like truck drivers or just different forms of white trash. One's pretty fat and the other, anyways, it was weird.
I feel like if Kenn had seen the fight that we saw earlier with Sensei Lee beating the hell out of that kid, if he had seen that, he might have been like, okay, I can do that. I can beat that kid up. And then she's like, you can make upwards of $500.
Yeah, and then she talks about how kids pay their way through college, and I thought that college must have been super inexpensive back then. I don't
Community
know.
college.
Yeah, University of Phoenix.
That's where it all started.
Well, I'm sure
Tech.
Sensei Lee got his college degree in prison, so you know.
Right, there you go.
I learned.
Taxpayer funded, baby.
I did notice at this point the college kickboxer poster on the wall at Lee's dojo.
So good. And I wonder, did Kenn McLeod bring that to set? Because he's the only connection to that one.
Yeah.
What other films do we see on the wall? We see, I think, King of the
Kickboxers. Yep, that's up there. Black Eagle. And a movie called China White, which I am not familiar with. But I think it might be streaming somewhere, so one never knows. You might find China White on bulletproofaction.com.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty good.
What a tease.
I'm sure that one will get thousands of clicks. Kate tries to give Kenn a cash advance. He's like, no, I can't do this. And then we get to see the main event, which Lee is there, booking himself on top.
Nice.
Typical promoter bullshit. And so just more Lee, though. So that's pretty cool.
I'm looking at a China White right now that has Billy Drago in it.
Ooh.
Directed by Ronnie Yu.
So it might be good. It might be an excellent film.
1989.
Chad Cruz already shitting on it, and he hadn't seen it.
That's true. Well,
classic Cruz.
I figured that it's a movie that the three of us have never heard of. It's probably not gonna change your world.
Yeah, I mean it goes by Guang Ting Lung Fu Wu.
Oh, it's that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Now that you say that, I've seen that movie 10 times.
It's China O'Brien.
What a wonderful series of films. Why aren't those on Blu-ray? That's a great question.
No idea.
I have. Billy's pretty pissed at this making money off teens, though.
Well, she tries to put money in Kenn's hands.
Yeah, he doesn't want it. He doesn't. He rushes to tell Billy about it. Like, I could have made money. And Billy's all pissed about it, and he kind of gets that. Billy's getting his groove back. Chad Cruz.
He is. He's starting to feel
getting that law enforcement gene inside of him is reawakening.
Yeah, he's kind of getting it little by little, scene by scene, and we start to see it from here on out. I think teaching Kenn, it reinvigorated him a bit because he'd been kind of dead inside, cleaning toilets and puke off the fucking cafeteria floor.
No purpose. Now he's starting to really feel the need to protect and serve again.
Wearing that hat all the time, just
hanging out with Jodeci, Toni, all the hits.
Toni was my jam back in the day.
Babyface.
Sure it was.
It was good. It was good.
I know you weren't always a janitor. I used to be a cop. I killed a kid. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Tremendous dramatic reenactment of Billy Blanks' skills. Kate tells Tom again. Now she's like, okay. She's already told him not to fight, but now she's specifically saying, don't mess with Kenn because we got plans for him. He's going to get a big babyface push. and we don't need him hurt.
You know, I didn't notice it as much when I was watching this movie. You know, I hadn't seen it in several years, but upon my rewatch, I didn't notice it. But now that we're talking about it, it seems like every second or third scene is the same shit over and over.
It kind of is. It kind of is, and there's no kind of there's no music in most of these scenes. Not that it should have a lot of music, but I just watched it again for the 1,000th time 2 nights ago, and it made me focus so much on kind of the dialogue and just how just cut and dry it is. I mean, I can't imagine this took more than 48 hours to write.
Right, right.
You know, nothing against Stuart Gibbs. I think he did a great job. But apparently he tried to write every detail of the fight scenes as well, and they just told him, like, don't bother with that. Just, we'll take care of it.
Like, do you know who Billy Blanks is?
I know, right? And Kenn McLeod actually does know martial arts. Go figure. And we got this guy, James Liu, for a day.
Yeah, no doubt. I forgot. You know what? I totally forgot he was in this. But then when he showed up, I was like, oh, of course he's in this. Someone has to have a good fight scene and get their ass kicked. Yeah.
Even though it was 2-on-1. And I had mentioned to Brion, I had mentioned the other henchman, hitman. You did recognize him, though, Brion, didn't you?
Yeah, Nick Hill. We talked about him, Chad. He was the best friend of Michael Worth's character in Fist of Iron, and he's done some other movies.
Was he the one that died?
He's the one who dies.
Okay, how about that?
He has a character name in Showdown of James.
Huh.
Yeah, just James.
Yeah, it's just James, whereas James Liu is Hitman.
Right.
James and Hitman.
Confusing.
Go take care of Billy, the janitor.
James and the Hitman. What a good sitcom.
I mean, seriously.
You know what I like most about Tom at this point in the movie? And I think that's his
vest?
His hair frizz. His hair gets really frizzy.
It's so good.
It's amazing. Once he starts doing work on screen, his hair just goes ultimate frizz.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to when Lee is really threatening him and he's beating him up, and then he does kind of that palm thrust and stops right in front of his face. Tom's poofy, curly, coiffed kind of, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just kind of hanging there. It really sells it.
Yeah,
like it really sells it.
He looks like a child with the frizz like that, and I wonder if it's the Arizona heat.
That's a great point.
Oh.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Paul Satterfield, who was an actor at the same time, who was in like Creepshow 2 in the Raft segment, and he was also in Arena.
Arena, yes.
Doesn't he kind of remind you of Paul Satterfield? I don't know why. I thought these guys could be related.
He does. That's a good point. I would concur with you, sir.
Oh, thank you. Just the blonde jockey lead kind of guy, but total heel here. But I agree. I mean, Tom is continuously the standout. He steals every scene that he's in, and you can't beat the Arizona frizz. And his style. He's got like a black turtleneck coming up. I don't think are we at the cinema scene yet? Where are we at? We see the assassin scene, like they try to take Billy out at the school theater, which I thought was a cool touch too. That was pretty neat.
Yeah.
It's like a school play set or something. I like that he goes down into what appeared to be kind of like the orchestra chamber or something down below.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's where they keep I think that's where they keep either the chairs or I don't know. It struck me as kind of like an orchestra chamber. You know what I mean? Like that lower area
where they
the
sit
stage.
below the stage. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really weird. But I like the shot where he looks up and you see the chain drop.
Right. And that was cool because, at first you don't know exactly what, he's like running from these guys at one point, and then all of a sudden he's like in a room, like in like a shitty apartment. You're like, oh, this has got to be a fucking set.
Yeah. And then
eventually it zooms out.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. decent little fight scene, I thought, between the two of them. So, impressive use of the actors they had for the time that they had them.
James and the Hitman.
That's right.
James and the Hitman, Tuesdays this fall on CBS. Yeah, we've got, while that's going on, Tom and Julie are at the movies. That's where we see that beautiful vest.
It is like a work of art. I mean, it really is kind of an early 90s.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
It reminded me, like Bobby Heenan and Mr. Perfect used to wear ties that had that very similar pattern, like on Primetime in the, 92?
I think that's why I like Tom so much. There's a lot of that 92, 93 Mr. Perfect that he reminds me of. It's the kind of the curly hair, the black turtlenecks. He's perfect.
I always thought he reminded me of like a younger Sam J. Jones. He was like so blonde, and like he had like the way he just kind of flaunted how cool he was.
Oh yeah.
Like, he was like a very Flash Gordon-esque dude to me.
I agree, and that's why I really am considering hiring a private investigator to find Kenn McLeod.
Yes.
I bet Brain would help you fund that.
He's like 60-something, I think, now. I mean, he's... I would have to do the math to see how old he was when he shot Showdown. Showdown was like 92, 93.
I don't know.
93, and he would have had to have been in his late 20s.
No, he was
17.
30. So, I mean, he was born in 62.
Oh, Lord.
So
yeah, he was already 31 in 1993.
My God.
Yeah.
That is fun.
No wonder he's so pissed. I mean, being held back for like over a decade. Who wouldn't be pissed?
Yeah, so at the theater, other than the vest, we see a breathing fire poster with Bolo on it, and a movie I had never heard of, but now I'm intrigued by, Danger Zone 3, Steel Horse War.
Ooh.
Who's in that one?
I don't know. Nobody of note from my quick research on that.
It's funny though, right? With the slight Bolo cameo, because he was originally attached to Showdown in the role that.
Was he going to be Lee? I think he was going to be Lee, and that the.
Yes, that's right. That's why they hired Linda Donna.
Yeah, that's why she got the spot, because they knew obviously Bolo wasn't going to be able to do all the talking. But then they went with Kilpatrick and kept her along anyway because she's sexy.
All they needed to do is watch Showdown to see how eloquent Bolo is in the English language.
I mean, shoot fighter, sir.
Shoot fighter. Yes. Also Kenn Scott in a brief role.
Yeah, he's one of the fighters in there. Yeah.
That's right.
And him and Billy were old buddies from TC 2000. Same year.
TC 2000. Oh my God. That was the same year, huh?
Same year.
Wow.
Yeah, they were cranking these out back in the day. But as you said, this could not have taken too long to film and to conjure up. And
well, they were able to say, we still have a Bolo Young appearance in our film. It's just a millisecond in this cinema, right as Julie finally has it with Tom. She's fed up with him and bails on him. He already bought the tickets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got to watch the movie now. So yeah, she ends up roasting marshmallows with Kenn later that evening after she calls him for a ride, which
from a payphone in the seedy part of town.
And why does she have his number?
I mean,
he probably just gave it to her, and
maybe it's in the Yellow Pages,
Very true. Yes,
they just fucking moved there. How the hell was it? Yellow Pages were updated instantaneously.
I'm guessing he slipped it to her, or she held on to it.
He wanted to slip it to her. That's why he keeps talking to her even after he gets his ass kicked.
Maybe she called information, and said the phone number
to Mrs. Marks, the Marks residency.
And it's very possible
waitress in town.
She could have known their address. It's maybe they lived in a similar neighborhood.
True. Although she struck me as having a bit more money than Kenn, even though I like that they didn't really play too much on the socioeconomic status of these characters. Although early on we see Kenn's mom coming in I guess probably 7 or 8 in the morning before Kenn goes off to his school, and she's just getting off work, so she's clearly done the graveyard shift as a waitress. Stuffs the cookie jar with her tips.
It's clear that they're having money troubles. She's looking for a job and stuff, but but you also got to wonder. Tom's fighting for money, so what?
Yeah, I mean, he's
what kind of situation did he grow up in?
Right. That's why I think the prequel is necessary, especially now with the same actors. Just bring them back. It won't make much of a difference age-wise, and we can see where Tom came from, and how that lure of money clearly had its effect on him.
So you want current Kenn McLeod to play
Oh,
Tom?
yeah.
Well,
There's only one.
That would resolve getting a private investigator because you would know where he was.
My guess he's back in Minnesota somewhere. I'm not sure.
One of the 1,000 lakes, just in retirement.
He's from Duluth, so I'm not sure, but it could be. I mean, he could be.
I don't know if we could afford Billy Blanks at this point because he's probably just laying on piles of his Tybo money, isn't he?
The most recent stuff I've seen, I know he got married recently in the last year or two, and I think was living in Hong Kong or something. But then I also saw him teaching some extremely religious guy, right? And I think he was teaching some sort of aerobics or some sort of, it wasn't Taibo, but it was some sort of fitness classes like in a park or something. Yeah, it was weird, but
I know he did a Geico commercial not too long ago.
Yeah, you're
really
right.
Doing the Taibo gimmick.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's still around.
And this would have been after his Lionheart cameo.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
That was what, 91?
91? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
After Lionheart, after King of the Kickboxers.
Right.
Obviously, because the poster was in this movie. So
they should have had a Lionheart poster in here. Replace that China White poster.
There's a lot of Van Damme connections here too with Kilpatrick.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And James Lew.
And James Lew 100 times probably.
Yeah. So the next day at school, we get Tom and Kenn. Now, Tom's been dumped. Kenn's got the girl now. They're about to fight, but your girl Gina PL steps in and is like, hey, you guys want to fight? Do it at the dojo, 8 p.m. on Friday.
Fight like men
in the ring. Even though there's no ring. There's no freaking ring. They're fighting on mats.
It's like UFC was around at this time. It was the early stages of UFC, I think, right? Where it was still interesting. And you had like Ninja versus Sumo. And,
yeah, those were the good old days.
Which is funny, going back to Shoot Fighter, actually, there's a character at the end of Shoot Fighter named Skeeter who looks like Magnum TA. And I can't remember that actor's name, but he claims to have brought in the concept of the octagon. Like, that's the guy who claims to have introduced that concept of the octagon. Yeah, because if you watch Shoot Fighter at the end, when they're bringing back the legends for the final kind of tournament, they're basically in an octagon. And that was all redone once that guy came on board. I wish I could remember his name, but apparently he ran underground fights in California and kind of brought that whole concept to the forefront of an octagon. Good old Skeeter from Shoot Fighter.
So let's see Skeeter. Where the hell is this Skeeter guy? I'm looking at it now. I know that Shoot Fighter came out in 93, which would be UFC 1 was in November of 93.
Yeah, because he claims that UFC took the concept from him and never paid him.
And it looks like release date of Shoe Fighter was in May of '93. So, you never, and, the idea of UFC had been around forever, Pancrase overseas, guys who've been fighting in full contact fights for a long time. So that was nothing new. So they can take that idea. Why wouldn't they steal something from old Skeeter?
I know. And it's a shame. He should have gotten more credit. And I wonder if this was before or after Shoot Fighter for like the Kenn Scott filmography. I'm wondering which one he did first.
That's a good question. This premiered in September, so this came out later, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't filmed before it.
Yeah, because he did some sort of PR trickery to get this role, I believe, as the lead in Showdown. I know Brion knows that story. If he gets back on here, he could share it.
Do I know that story? I probably do it when I did my post. But
this is what Imperial Entertainment is who put out Showdown.
Yes.
Right, and so as I think, if I remember correctly, Kenn Scott, he had his roommate put together.
Oh yeah, make it like he had an agent and
he played his agent, his manager, and his PR team, and they put together like a promotional package for Kenn Scott, and it's like there's clips of it on the behind the scenes, and it looks like the training montage in No Retreat, No Surrender, because he's doing like push-ups on a bench like in a park and pull-ups in the park and stuff. It's nothing fancy, but he put together this promotional package, and they sent it to all the different production houses that were making martial arts movies at the time, and Imperial Entertainment bit. They're like, we're very interested in this guy.
We need to put together a compilation of how some of these direct-to-video stars and stuff got any jobs whatsoever, because Lauren Avedon just answered a phone.
Yeah, he just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great story. I think that would be a good piece.
Go ahead and get on that, Brion.
Yo, of course. You talked about the training montage in his fake PR kit. We get the dueling training montages now between Kenn and Tom as we prepare for it. It's happening. Fight night has arrived, and there is still no Billy, though. So Mike is kind of the surrogate manager, coach, and he's there trying to give Kenn the pep talk, but he's no Billy. And then once he sends Kenn off, he talks to Julie, and he's like, this is a horrible idea, but I called the police, so they'll be here whenever. He made an appointment with the police, which was
but he says he got the time wrong. He's like, I told him to be here around 8.
Yeah,
or was it 9?
9? Yeah. So apparently you could just make an appointment with the cops. Show up. Show up at this time, because that's when the bad stuff's going to be happening.
I'm going to tell you this from experience, okay? I've been on SWAT standby many times as a medic, and waiting sometimes for the SWAT to take people down or to take down a house or something like that. They know what's going to happen hours, days in advance sometimes. Because they're watching. They're watching shit go down, and I've sat in a parking lot of a BP for 4 hours waiting for them to take down a drug house. So, I mean, it's not 100% accurate, I'm sure, but it's not all that crazy.
Well, we see that shot, I think, before this, where Spinelli and the police crew go and show up, but it's empty. They don't see anything, and they kind of just like, well, let's go, boys. Nothing here,
Bad intel.
Yeah, but they do encounter a guy in the parking lot with Billy, right? Billy, and then they get shot at or something.
That's what prompts the "I want Billy killed."
Right. Yeah, that was earlier.
That's right.
Lee, that was before the
That's right.
assassins
That's right.
So now we're here. We're at the main event, or so we think, because it's Kenn versus Tom. Good back and forth between the two until Tom starts playing dirty, gets a little ruthless. Big time. The crowd is turning on Tom real quick here. And Lee is out there, of course. He just wants him to destroy. And the crowd just gets more and more boo, boo, boo. And that's when it happens, Jack Cruz. He's back. baby.
Billy's back. Ken pops his shirt off.
That's right.
Julie's panties get a little moist. I mean, there's a lot of things
They show the
happening.
two girls who are like,
Oh, yeah. They're like giggling to each other.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, you guys were talking about it before, how they kept him covered up the whole movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was like the big reveal where he's like, got, like single-digit body fat. I mean, he's
shredded. He's shredded for sure.
Yeah, it's great.
I have some questions real quick. Why on earth are all these people booing Tom? He was clearly the favorite in the fight, and I'm assuming most of these people put money on Tom to win. So why would they boo him when he's winning?
Why did the Russians turn on Ivan Drago?
Did they gamble on? Were they gambling on that fight?
I would. No, they were. I mean, they had to be. You mean the Drago fight or this fight? They were definitely gambling on this fight.
Yes, 100%.
I don't know if they're the most moralistic crowd either, because you try to make it seem like Tom's fighting dirty, because even his doo-wop buddy is like, "Come on, Tom, fight fair."
Yeah,
it's like, when did this guy become Mr. Morals?
Doo-wop buddies.
What's funny is
I can't stand him.
Johnny Travolta there. His big moments in any of these scenes is when he gets mad at Tom for beating his ass.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man, we're just sparring.
And then he's like, "I've had enough. I'm sick of this." And then he's like, "Get back here. Get back here." And then it's as if nothing. He's his corner man again.
Well, as you might expect, Ken is victorious. Lee, as you also might expect, is pissed that Tom lost, so he goes after Tom. This is a great
Lee line, though. You kind of mentioned it, where he's like, "Destroy him, my boy. Kill him."
So, yeah, when he doesn't destroy and kill him, you can imagine Lee is pretty ticked off about it.
Oh, yeah.
But fortunately, the hero to the teenagers is there, or the 31-year-olds. Billy intervenes, and now we've gone from single main event to double main event.
Man.
Oh, yeah. And you even see Ken even tries to get a little shot in at Lee, but quickly, just no match for him.
No. And so we get Lee choking out Billy with a belt, but that's still not enough. Billy hits the, "You're not going to hurt any more kids, Lee."
Yeah. And then when he does the knockout blow to Lee, Lee kind of turns to camera and pauses as he's like, "Ah!" And then just takes like kind of the timber fall face down. It's great.
Yeah.
For some reason, it reminded me of the final fight in No Holds Barred. Like, it was very.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. There's just like the majesty of this fight, and I don't know. It just seemed so odd. Maybe he was watching Patrick Kilpatrick as like a karate master versus Billy Blanks. It's a strange way to end your movie.
And he definitely fought very heel-like. I mean, he didn't do a lot of martial arts. He did a lot of throwing into the guardrails and back
yelling.
Punches to the back and yelling. Yeah, and putting his hands up, very menacing. Like he controlled the crowd. They were his children. He was very
success is control.
It really is.
It
really is. I think Lee is one of the most underrated villains in martial arts cinema history.
Sounds like another post for bulletproofaction.com.
Hey, very well. Good.
Underrated villains in martial arts films.
Oh yeah.
But this happy ending gets even happier because Mike gets a little shine because he stops Kate from escaping. Nobody at that point really even cared about Kate.
Yeah, he knocks her out with a kick to the elbow or something.
Yeah.
Nothing like a little male on female violence to
end
your movie.
Right in the weenus.
Yeah.
And then we got Tom makes peace with Ken.
Kind of. I mean, they do. He doesn't shake his hand. He shakes Billy's hand, and then they all want to get trained with Billy.
Right.
As if we're supposed to be happy for Johnny Doo-Wop and Chola.
Here we go.
Oh, I hate them.
All right. Well, Spinelli has also got some work for Billy because he's like, hey, the police could use a self-defense trainer. I don't know why they don't have one now, but they're going to get one in the form of Billy.
And they missed one last thing. They didn't mention it, that now that Billy has all these jobs and titles that he has to take over, Kenn's mom will be the new janitor. So
I was going to say that was, she should have, if they really wanted this to be a happy ending, she should have shown up and been like, I just got hired.
The sex ed teacher. He's got a new dad and the vice principal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This man hired me.
Yeah.
So, Ken kisses Julie. And
I did like that they did the big kiss while his face is all bloody.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
very, very rocky.
It's a hell of a kiss too. It's not just the old closed mouth.
Well, he's been waiting all movie.
They're getting after it here. I like.
My guess was she was still pretty, testing her wiles. Oh yeah,
still low on the totem pole.
Yeah, she's going for it.
All right, gentlemen. PL, your final Showdown thoughts.
Underrated classic. The people who've seen it love it, except for my mom. She hated it.
She did. She was one who thought it was the cheap Karate Kid.
Yeah, which they acknowledge that themselves. They know what they're doing.
Self-aware.
Very self-aware. And, that it shows with the movie posters. And, I think absolutely fun film. I watched this when it was out. I mean, they showed it on HBO or Showtime, just on rotation, and I loved it. I loved the lines. I loved the little moments. It's shot in a very direct way. It's not trying to be something artistic in a way that doesn't work for the genre. It's a fun film. I would recommend it to anybody who's a fan of the early 90s martial arts fare, which still I think is untouched to this day. It's just a very simple, formulaic form of storytelling with actual martial artists, minimal to no special effects, and just dastardly bad guys.
Yeah, it was a magical the golden era of direct-to-video martial arts movies. Sure. Absolutely wish we had more like that in today's world. Chad Cruz, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think Paul said it right on. It's really, the movie to me is about the bad guys. We spend so much time with we spend so much time with Kate, even, who's not even like a good character. I mean, I feel like there's not that many characters in the movie, so we're just shooting back and forth to all these bad guys all the time. We're spending a lot of time with Tom and with Sensei, and it's just Ken isn't that great of a character, and I don't think Billy's that great of a character, but we don't spend a lot of time with either one of those. It's so divvied up with all the bad guys.
No, I mean there's two chunks of the movie where Billy disappeared.
Right, so that's what makes the movie so good to me, and it's entertaining as hell. And this is one of those films that, I've got an older brother that we bonded over movies as a kid, Over the Top and Showdown and stuff like this. Like there were films that if it was on, we were watching it, and this is one that we had it on VHS, so we watched the hell out of this tape. And yeah, it's a really fun movie. Now I'm still kind of puzzled about the poster. I was looking at the poster earlier. Who the hell is on the poster? Is that Kenn?
It's definitely
Scott?
Kenn. Yeah, Kenn Scott on the right and Kenn McLeod on the left. This looks like it's post their main event fight.
They look strange in this poster. It doesn't look like either one of the hair is off.
Yeah, my guess is it's they sprayed them down on that one day when they shot all the fight scenes apparently, and said, "Hey, let's get some gallery photos for the cover."
It feels like you got that promo shot done at some, indie fed, and then they've been using that same one for 7 years.
That's the
and
worst.
your hair looks different. And,
well, and I think the height, like they have Ken shorter almost than Kenn McLeod shorter than Kenn Scott on there, so it's like they just kind of took some creative license for the cover there. But
I don't think I even recall. Do we see that jumping kick from Billy to Lee at the end?
I don't think so either. No, not that I remember. And I don't know if I want to watch this again anytime too soon, but I probably will watch it again. But I'll tell you what, that whole love story back and forth was really getting on my nerves this last rewatch.
I remember you mentioning it.
Like you said, Chad, it was like we just kept going to the same scene over and over. It was almost like Groundhog Day.
Right, get on with it.
I think this is the most supersized edition of the Bulletproof Podcast we've ever done. So I'm going to just wrap things up. I want to thank you, Paul, for joining us. It's been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
We would love to have you back down the road.
Same here.
Chad, anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Yeah, big thanks to PL. We've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm glad we finally got to do it. And, you know, I'm sure you've got a list of films that you would like to go over, and
Absolutely.
We're always open. So
I'm thinking Shoot Fighter might be on his list.
The invitation is there.
China O'Brien.
China White.
Jim Cotta.
Jim
baby.
Cotta, yeah. There's no shortage of movies.
Undefeatable.
Undefeatable.
Cynthia Rothrock.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, if you like bad guys,
Oh, baby.
you'll love Undefeatable. No, it's been a real pleasure, guys. I really, this isn't a film I can share with just anybody. Similar to Chad, my brother and I love this movie. Both my brothers, but, you know, it's one that I shared with my friends that were into martial arts cinema. And it's apparently just not a movie you can watch with your folks. But my mom did love Over the Top,
Yes.
which I showed her recently. And she, and I convinced her it was a true story, which I try to do with every movie. I tried to tell her this was a true story also, but she was too bored and uninterested. Next time I'm going to try and convince her that Lionheart is a true story.
Inspired by real events.
Yeah. She didn't think Kong Skull Island was a true story. She saw through that one.
I didn't think you wanted to watch that movie after about 30 minutes.
Horrible.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much for saying that.
Just horrible. I try to think of the budget on Showdown, and I'm guessing less than $1 million. It's kind of like one of those films I feel that was possibly thrown together quickly, kind of like Kickboxer 4. And they figured, hey, we have access to this. We can get these guys. Can we start shooting this within a month or so? Yeah, let's go. That's kind of how I take it. And then you take these mega blockbusters that are hundreds of millions, and they're just unwatchable.
Is there a worse actress out there than Brie Larson? My God.
She is the modern day Linda Donna.
Oh, jeez.
Burned. But she's still a 1.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a special one of the Bulletproof Podcast. Thanks again. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Of course, you're the most important part of this whole process is those of you who are checking us out. And, as I always say, Chad, what do I always say? Thanks for listening. And as always, stay tuned for more of the Bulletproof Podcast.
Success is control. Control is success. You